Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're reacting to episode 21 of season 1 of Demon Slayer, and I have a feeling today's episode is going to be incredibly emotional. Last episode, Rue has been defeated by Giyu. We also saw he was having sort of an emotional connection to the sight of Nezuko and Tanjiro. So I have a feeling we're about to delve into some flashbacks, which always signal that it's going to be an emotional episode. So I am looking forward to seeing more of Rue. I have theorized before that I think he could be from an abusive family, and the way that he's replicating this family dynamic with the demons is a replication of that, because he doesn't know any other way to exist in a family unit, because he's never quite known the same type of love. So he thinks that's how families actually behave because it's been normalized to him, whereas that's actually not the case. And we're going to learn that it's incredibly tragic that Rue feels that way. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into episode 21. We're already in the flashback, aren't we? We are. The hairstyle. Oh. He just wants to play with the other kids. Oh, the music is so good. His mom. Oh, maybe they are a loving family. He doesn't look like a very well boy. He looks like he's quite sickly. So maybe his family's like overprotection of him makes him think that they actually don't care about him because he's quite isolated, because they're like, you shouldn't be outside. So maybe he actually misreads their intentions as being neglectful rather than being loving. And then that's why he sort of wants parents and siblings that will protect him, that do love him, that will do anything for him, because he thinks his parents didn't do that for him, because he didn't understand that his parents were actually trying to keep him safe. But he saw their actions as actually hindering him, as isolating him from the world, but also detrimental, and that he blames them for the situation that he's in. I don't know. I was running on the premise that maybe he was abused, but his mom seems to genuinely really care about him in that very brief snippet. So I'm starting to think that it could just be she's very overprotective and he misreads their actions and doesn't understand what it is they're actually trying to do until much later. And by that point, it's already too late because he's dying. And that's the tragedy, is that he's tried to force this family into being something that he always thought a family should be, without realizing his family was already that in the past. They loved him. They just maybe went about showing that love in a different way that he didn't recognize. I don't know. To me, that doesn't scream abusive. Oh, this is going to be an emotional one, isn't it? Is the whole
俺は
episode going to
体
be
が弱かった。
flashbacks?
生まれつきだ。歩くのでさえも苦しかった。無惨様が
Muzan.
現れるまでは
Muzan.
かわいそうに私が救ってあげよう。
You know how he's saying, you pitiful thing, let me save you? And then we also had that flashback to Muzan where he was really angry when those people assumed that he was sick and weak and frail and about to die. Is that why he wants to save Rue? Because he sees himself in Rue? He wants to give him strength and save him from this weak, sickly, frail body, because that was done for him. So he thinks that it's showing kindness in turn. I don't know. He definitely was sick and weak at some point in his life, because he got so angry at the mere mention of him being weak that I think that's the kinship with Rue. Because why show up out of nowhere and take pity on Rue if it's not because you recognize yourself in him. That you can offer him what was offered to you and it will change his life, but not in the positive way. Muzan sees it as a positive, but not everyone else does. Because why reach out to Rue and offer him this if not because he's empathetic with Rue's situation? Because he also found himself in a similar situation. I don't know. It's a bit sus.
両親は喜ばなかった。強い体を手に入れた俺が日の光に当たれず人を食わねばならないから。
Of course they're not happy about it. What parent would be?
なんてことをしたんだ。
The boy that they love and care for is no longer their boy. In their mind, it's a monster.
素晴らしい話を聞いた。川で溺れた我が子を助けるために死んだ親がいたそうだ。なんという親の愛、そして絆。川で死んだその親は見事に親の役目を果たしたのだ。俺の親は俺を殺そうとした。
It's such a hard one.
殺されそうな俺をかばってもくれない。
Because in their mind, you're no longer their son. You're a demon now. They lost their child when Muzan turned you. So I don't think it's out of this lack of parental love. I think the parental love is that they want to save him from the fate that's now been thrust upon him. I don't think it's them failing to show that parental bond. I think Rui just doesn't understand why his parents acted that way towards him. Because they weren't that way when he was human, but they are that way when he's a demon because he's harming people, he's hurting people. And we know that Urikadaki had basically said to Tanjiro, if Nezuko ever starts to harm people, then Tanjiro should kill her and then himself, because he failed his duty to protect others. And I think it's a similar dynamic here, that the father thinks he's saving Rue, he's showing the ultimate love. I think in his father's mind, he is doing the ultimate act. He's having to sacrifice his only son to save other humans, but also probably thinks that he's saving Rue in the long run, that Rue doesn't have to continue to live as this monster, that he's freeing his son in a sense from this fate. So I think Rue just sees it as his parents wanting to harm him. They're not doing their job. They should want to protect him at all costs. But that's because he's looking at it from his lens as a demon. He's not looking at it from the lens of a human meeting a demon. So I wonder if part of this realization is going to be him understanding that his parents did actually love him, did actually want to protect him, but knew that there was no way for them to truly do that now that he was a demon. So they tried to make sure that he couldn't go on and harm other people, because it takes a lot to sacrifice your child. And I feel like it works two ways. Yes, you have the father who died saving his son from drowning, and he sees that as the ultimate parental bond, but he doesn't see that it can also work the other way, that a father can love their child so deeply that they want to save them from this fate that they know is only going to bring them more pain and suffering in the long run. And they also want to ensure that they're not harming other people. I think it's complicated, and in both acts it is sacrificial, because the father's having to sacrifice his own child to protect others, but also thinks he's protecting his son. And his mother has to come to terms with the fact that the child that she gave birth to is no longer recognizable. It's not the same child that she gave birth to and spent all these years caring for and trying to protect from getting sick and doting and loving on them. This is now someone that is killing humans and doesn't really need them to take care of him anymore, but they also struggle to take care of him because of him being a demon. So that family bond's kind of been severed, but I don't think it's been severed in the sense that they hate him and they want to punish him, but severed in the sense that when Rue accepted Muzan's deal and became a demon, it was Rue's acceptance of the deal that severed the family bond. That's what caused the change and the rift. And I think the parents still loved him deeply enough to want to save him from this fate. But at the same time, Rue doesn't see how both the act of the father saving the son from drowning and the act of his parents having to come to terms with the idea of killing Rue are both sacrificial. Not in the sense that one loved their child more than the other, but in that both were willing to lose something dear to them in order to preserve the lives of others. The father was willing to risk his own life to save the son, but his parents were willing to lose their son in order to free him from the fate that's been thrusted upon him. I hope that made sense.
俺たちの絆は本物じゃなかった。
I don't think that was the case. I think it's more complex. Oh, she blames herself.
その言葉を最後に母は事切れた。死んだ。
The fact that he's gone on this path, she thinks it's her fault. Because she didn't. Oh,
殺されそうになった怒りで理解できなかった言葉だったが、
they were gonna die as a family.
人を殺した罪を共に背負って死のうとしてくれていたのだと
But also, he couldn't live with the
その瞬間、
idea of having killed his
唐突に理
son.
解した。
Yeah.
本物の絆を俺はあの夜俺自身の手で切ってしまった。
You tried to recreate it, but it didn't work.
すべてはお前を受け入れなかった親が悪いのだ。
No, it
己
wasn't
の
their
強さを
fault.
誇れ。
そう思うより他どうしようもなかった。
He
自
manipulated
分がしてしまっ
him.
たことに耐えられなくて。
Oh, Rue. That's so sad.
毎日毎日父と母が恋しくてたまらなかった。
Oh.
偽りの家族を作っても虚しさがやまない。強くなればなるほど人間の頃の記憶も消えていく。自分が何をしたいのかわからなくなっていく。
Oh, it's so tragic.
どうやってももう手に入らない絆を求めて必死で手を伸ばしてみようが届きもしないの。
And he's still reaching for it now.
小さな体から抱えきれないほど大きな悲しみの匂いがする。
Is he gonna hold his hand? Oh, stop.
暖かい日の光のような優しいって思い出した。はっきりと僕は謝りたかった。ごめんなさい。全部僕が悪かったんだ。
I hope they're reunited in the next life.
でも山ほど人を殺した僕は地獄に行くよね。同じところへは行けないよね。
そんなことはない。
Oh, stop.
一緒に行くよ。地獄でも。ルイ、
父さん母さん。
ルイ、どこまでも一緒よ。
全部僕が悪かったよ。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Oh my god. Get off him. I know his body's not there anymore, but it's disrespectful.
人を食った鬼に情けをかけるな。
Oh, shut up. Tanjiro is going to tell you to fuck off.
殺された人たちの無念を晴らすため これ以上被害を出さないため、もちろん俺は容赦なく鬼の首に刃を振るいます。だけど鬼であることに苦しみ、自らの行いを悔いている者を踏みつけにはしない。鬼は人間だったんだから。
Thank you, Tanjiro.
俺と同じ人間だったんだから、足をどけてください。
Yes, good boy.
醜い化け物なんかじゃない。鬼は虚しい生き物だ。悲しい生き物だ。
To be respectful.
お前は
Oh, he doesn't remember. Oh, she's back.
どうして邪魔をするんです、富岡さん。
Oh,
鬼とは仲
she
良く
was
で
going
き
for
ないって言
Nezuko.
ってたくせに、何なんでしょうか。
Okay. I was like, what the hell is
そ
she
んなだから
doing?
みんなに嫌われるんですよ。
I was like, why is she going after Giyu? But she's not. She's sensed Nezuko and she's going after her. Giyu saved her from that.
ああ、あいつな。
Oh,
彼が鬼を倒してくれ
Tsunetsu.
たおかげでほんの少しだけ毒の巡りが遅くなった。
順調順調。これなら全員助かりそうだ。
ですが
That's good.
早急に作業を
Look
済
at
ま
how
せて
many people
なる
he
べく早くここを
saved.
離れたいですね。
そうだな。だってここすげえくっせえもん。
They do be smelly.
俺は嫌われてない。
What?
それすみません。嫌われている自覚がなかったんですね。余計なことを言ってしまって申し訳ないです。
Oh,
坊やがかばっているのは鬼ですよ。危ないですから離れてください。
違います。いや、違わないけど、妹なんです。
まあ、そうなのですか。かわい
I was
そ
gonna
う。
be like, how tragic.
では、苦しまないよう、
No,
優しい毒で殺してあげましょうね。
you forget that people don't understand the situation. We're so used to it at this point.
動けなくても根性で動け。
We're like, wait, why don't they get it?
Emoto
Because it's so unusual.
富岡さん、すみません。ありがとうございます。
Oh, he is a good guy.
体中痛い、苦しい、痛いと叫びたい。我慢だ。我慢我慢我慢我慢我慢我慢。俺は鬼殺隊を抜けなければならなくなるのか。いくら妹とはいえ、鬼を連れている剣士なんて認められない。
Oh my god.
本気なんですね。
Is that
富岡さん
the other girl from the
ま
first
さか
selection
柱が
following?
鬼をかばうなんて。
He's not going to let it happen though. I didn't realize that he didn't recognize Tanjiro. God, she's fast,
私を止
isn't
めよう
she?
とすることも結構ですけど、もう一人いることも忘れなく。
There's somebody pursuing him.
少しでも遠くへ逃げるんだ。
It is her. I had a feeling because of the butterfly
しまった。
motif
なんだ。走るのが精一杯で。
that it would be the girl from the first selection. First selection, final selection.
逃げろんですか。絶対捕まるな。いいぞ。
Oh! Oh!
小
Thank
さく
God.
子供になった。
Okay, that's adorable.
逃げるばかりで少しも攻撃してこない。
Because she's not like normal demons.
考える必要はない。言われた通りに
They
鬼
are
を切るだけ。
sisters. They have the same eyes as well.
鬼を切りに行くための私の攻撃は正当ですから違反にはならないと思いますけど、富岡さんのこれは対立違反です。鬼殺の妨害ですからね。どういうつもりなんですか？
He doesn't even fully know himself. It's like, I don't quite know why I'm doing this.
あれは確か2年前のこと。
そんなところから長々と話されても困りますが、嫌がらせでしょうか。嫌われていると言ってしまったこと、根に持ってます？
Well, if he wasn't angry before, he is now. Whoa!
伝令伝令
Blade shoe.
炭治郎、禰豆子、両名を拘束、本部へ連れ帰るべし。
Okay, taken into custody though.
あなた、禰豆子？
Not killed, taken into custody, so...
額に傷がある。
よし、高速だ。
これ、顎は骨が割れてるんじゃないか。
かわいそうだな、縛るの。なんだこいつ。さあ、鬼じゃないよな。
Oh, Nosuke.
こいつが履いてるの大服だぞ。あ、かぶりもんだこれ。人間だ。うわあ、こいつもすげえ怪我だぞ。なんで吊るされてんだ？
For his own good. Keep him safe.
俺一人の力じゃ鬼を一匹も倒せなかった。
Oh, is he gonna have a crisis of
俺って
confidence?
あんまし強くないのかも。
Oh, Nosuke! Look at him, he's bandaged up like a present.
それにあの子、最終選別にいた子じゃないか。
I was saying first
俺たち
selection.
の
I don't know why he
ぐ
said
るぐる巻き
first
にした
selection.
女の人がいた
Final.
髪飾り。
こちらも超屋敷へ。
そう、怪我人は皆うちへ。
Butterfly Mansion. Her family home.
鬼殺隊と鬼が戦った後の始末をする部隊。構成する隊員は剣技の際に恵まれなかった人たちがほとんどだとか。夜明けだ。
Oh. A new day begins. Could be an awakening for them all. That demons aren't necessarily what they believe them to be. Beautiful.
大きい。おい、おいおいこら。やいてめえ。やい。いつまで寝てんだ。柱の
Oh,
前だぞ。
hello. Oh, okay. New characters being introduced. Amazing. Okay.
最近は富岡さんと任務でご一緒することが多いですね。何かおっしゃってはどうでしょう。
大将こそこそ噂話。都長は猫や犬などの体中に毛の生えた生き物が苦手らしい。
急に口を開いたと思えば何を言うんですか？
否定しないということは真実なのか。
そう一言余計だからみんなに嫌われるんですよ。
俺は
嫌われていない以外の返事でお願いします。次回第
Oh.
22話親方様。
Bless him. It's not his fault. He just speaks when he's spoken to. He doesn't need to please anybody. But yeah, you almost forget that people stumbling across Nezuko and Tanjiro for the first time don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Especially because, like, Inosuke and Zenitsu just kind of embraced it really, really quickly. Didn't really dwell on it. So we're kind of used to that kind of mentality of like, oh yeah, this is fine. And then now we've got characters that are like, no, that's a demon, so we need to kill it regardless. Like, she's saying, oh, I'm sorry it's your sister, but still. It's also very telling that they said to bring them into custody. It didn't say kill them. It didn't say dispatch Nezuko and bring Tanjiro into custody. It was bring them both into custody, probably because they're going to determine if Nezuko is safe to have around, that maybe Tanjiro can keep his position. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. They're going to the Butterfly Mansion, which must be Shinobu and her sister's home, it's also very telling that they're both here. As soon as I saw the skirt, I was like, that has to be the little sister, because I've been wondering if they were related because of the butterfly motif. So her being here just cements to me they are sisters. The Butterfly Mansion is their family home. So are they going to be like a lineage of demon slayers that like everyone in their family becomes a demon slayer, that they're all kind of honing their skills? Well, she can't slice the neck of a demon, she has to use a blade that's coated in poison. But I also didn't realize that Giyu didn't recognize Tanjiro at first, and then eventually went, oh, hold up a second. So then when he like stepped in to protect him from Shinobu, it's because he realizes that they are different, because he keeps talking about how like demons and humans can't be friends, they can't get along, but he wondered if Tanjiro and Nezuko would maybe be different, which is why he sent Tanjiro and Nezuko to Urikadaki. And now he's seeing evidence of that 2 years later. He's seeing Tanjiro and Nezuko thriving together. She's not a threat to humans. So it's almost as if he's going to have a bit of an awakening that, oh, actually, this is a reality. This is a possibility. Even still, it's the fact that like he protected them both. He had like his arm out like that, as if he was not willing to allow her to come anywhere near. And even when Shinobu started chasing them down, he was so quick to go after her. He was like, yeah, this isn't happening. So I love that he has this disposition of demons can't be changed, they're monsters, we shouldn't be treating them with empathy and respect, only for him to then minutes later start trying to protect Nezuko, who is a demon, almost as if he's just completely forgotten his earlier words, and going as far as to actually break rules to make sure that Shinobu doesn't harm them. There's obviously something deeper to Giyu in that even he didn't fully understand why he was acting the way he was. Like Shinobu was asking him why he suddenly changed his mind, and he kind of doesn't really have an answer, and then he starts launching into the story of how he met Tanjiro. But I think there is a part of him that's open to being changed, that he thinks they could prove him wrong, but perhaps he's been burnt in the past, that he thought demons could be empathized with, and maybe he empathized with a demon and found that it wasn't the case, and that's kind of left him a little bitter, and maybe painted his thought process in general to all other demons, that he kind of doesn't see them as capable of being friends. Perhaps because he had a friend that was a demon and his friend turned on him, and he's never emotionally recovered from it. That was such an emotional episode. I was fine up until Rue reunited with his parents, and they were like, if you go to hell, we also go to hell. That broke me. But I also love the parallel between Rue's family bond and Nezuko and Tanjiro's family bond. Rue sees his parents after he's died and they're dead, showing that even death cannot sever the strength of that family, much in the same way that Tanjiro and Nezuko see their mom and their dad who are dead, showing once again that death cannot sever that bond. It cannot break what's been established. And the fact that he's so desperate to recreate what he had with his parents because he misses it so deeply, that he's forcing people to play roles that can never live up to the reality, can never live up to the actual love that his parents had for him. And he thought that his parents were doing it to harm him, but his parents were willing to kill themselves in turn. They couldn't bear the thought of living without their son. And they thought that it would be better to die as a family than for them to live with Rue's death on their hands. It just unfortunately didn't work out that way, but it's just so incredibly tragic. And the fact that his mom takes full responsibility, she's crying. Her final words to him are, I'm sorry I didn't give you a healthy body. Because obviously the baby comes from the mother grows the baby for 9 months. She's taking direct responsibility in that she's saying, if I had maybe done things differently, if I could have given you a healthy body, then perhaps you never would have had to have gone down this path. She's saying, I am to blame for you turning to Muzan and becoming a demon. And it's no one's fault. She couldn't have predicted. There was nothing she could have done to change Rue's health. It's just unfortunate that he was born with a weak constitution. But the fact that she doesn't blame Rue, the father doesn't blame Rue, they are taking responsibility as the parents because they love their son so deeply that they could never blame him for doing what he believed was best in that moment. They're blaming themselves, that their son took this upon himself because they failed him. But they didn't fail him. They loved him so dearly that they were willing to kill themselves, if only to be with him in death. Because in life, they couldn't go on the way they were going. And the way that Tanjiro once again is like reaching out to Rue, putting his hand on his back to bring him peace in those final moments, and going as far as to condemn Gyu's perspective, telling him that you're wrong. How can you sit and say this about demons when they were once humans too? He's saying that I will never show them mercy because I know what needs to be done, but I can show them empathy. But I love that it's also his way of reflecting on how lucky they are to have never been forced into the situation too. He's saying they were human. They didn't ask for this, but some of them had no choice, others were in a desperate situation, but we should still show empathy because we are still human. We can connect to them on the level of them also having once been human. We shouldn't be trampling on them as if they're nothing. They were people once. They had thoughts, dreams, ambitions, and those never came to be because of varying circumstances. It's his way of reminding Gyu that if fate had been different, perhaps he would have been turned into a demon. And I think seeing the way that Tanjiro is striking to him because so few people he meets are like Tanjiro. Shinobu is kind of interested in the idea of humans and demons being friends. So I feel like she might be one of the first to kind of come around to Nezuko, but I think Gyu seeing Tanjiro so fierce, so protective of the remains of Rue struck him in a way that he didn't necessarily expect it to. And I think it's because he knows at some level that Tanjiro is right, but also he showed a similar sense of empathy because he could have killed Nezuko, but he didn't. He saw that desperation in Tanjiro to protect Nezuko. He saw Nezuko in turn protecting Tanjiro. He showed empathy and kindness to them. Enough so that he sent them to Urokodaki, knowing that Urokodaki could probably help Tanjiro in his journey. And he did. So Gyu is not what he always appears to be. I hate that Muzan, though, manipulated Rue, but it also goes to show the way in which Rue is so traumatized by what he's done. This knowledge that he can never repair that bond with his parents that he severed in killing them, that he believes Muzan. And he knows that Muzan's not telling the truth, but he can't live with the knowledge of what he's done, so he needs to try and find an excuse. So he buys into it, but also the way that he just tries to replicate a family because he desperately wants to fill that hole. He is so deeply empty and regretful about misreading his parents' love for him, that he saw it as them rejecting him, of wanting to harm him, rather than it being an act of love, an act of extreme sacrifice, that he goes on to try and create a family that he can never create. And even in those final moments, he's like trying to crawl over to Tanjiro and Nezuko as if he's desperate for one last chance to feel that bond, to have that returned. But at least in death, he does seem to be reunited with his family. He does seem to have the peace that Tanjiro wishes for him. And I'm glad that we see this side to Rue, that it is just a traumatized child trying to fill the emptiness inside of them. It doesn't excuse his actions again, but this is part of the message that Tanjiro is showing, in that we can't excuse their actions, but we can empathize. We can understand why they do the things that they do. And the fact that Tanjiro still is able to continuously display that is just such a sign of his strength, that he can see the humanity that still resides within demons, even when other demon slayers can't. And just the juxtaposition as well. I feel like Tanjiro is going to be so good for the Demon Slayer Corps because we're seeing this sort of like strict rule that every demon needs to be killed. It doesn't matter whether they've killed someone or not. It seems to be very much this idea that demon equals death, but we're seeing the complexity of demons, that not every demon functions in the same way. We've seen Tomiya, who is a doctor. She's helping treat people. She's trying to find a cure for demons. We've seen Nezuko, who doesn't harm humans. We're probably going to see other demons that act the same way, that they aren't these monsters that they've been made out to be. So I feel like the Demon Corps kind of needs to update itself, and Tanjiro may be the key to doing that, because again, in stopping Shinobu from killing Nezuko, they are going against the core rules because it's demon equals death sentence. But it also shows how unfair those rules are, because Nezuko's never harmed anyone, but she's treated in the same way that Rue, who has harmed people, would be treated. There's no distinguishing between the demons. Every demon is seen as being the same, rather than seeing demons as multifaceted, that there's a complexity to them. So maybe this is what we're going to see, is Tanjiro defending his position, but also that the rules need to be updated, that they can't continue to function in this way, because they're going to be killing demons that are trying to make a difference, that are trying to make a change, that don't hurt people. And we got introduced to a couple of new characters at the end there. They're Hashira, and that's going to be very interesting to learn more about them. There was a cool guy in the middle that had like flame hair, and then we had a really big buff dude, and then there was one with like a jeweled headband. So I'm looking forward to learning more about these guys. But this Butterfly Mansion Anymony, it's Shinobu's family home. We're going to learn more about that family dynamic, but seeing the girl from the final selection and her eyes now with Shinobu, I was like, yep, they are 110% related. And as soon as Shinobu was kind of playing games with Giyu and we saw the flicker of a skirt, I was like, her sister's going after Tanjiro. Her sister's here too. But I think that's all I want to say for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!